let's go through my 2019 season. I think there's some things we can pick up from that. This year I only hunted turkeys and deer, white-tailed deer. So my turkey season back in the spring, the week before season opened, I did a lot of scouting. I was out most mornings listening for turkeys, figuring out where they were roosting, coming up with a plan as to how to get within range of them. And there was turkeys everywhere. I thought, this turkey hunting thing's a piece of cake. I know where they are. I know where they're going. It's going to be easy. Well, I got news for you. Hunting is not easy. Because opening morning, I got into some turkeys and had two jakes, which are young males, come within range. I decided I was going to wait and try and get a tom, an old male. And wouldn't you know it, those were the only two male turkeys I saw all season. I still don't know what happened to all the turkeys, but they just seemed to vanish. The males, anyway. The hens, every single time I went out, I saw a couple hens at least. I don't believe I ever went out and didn't see a turkey. It's just they were all hens. And in the spring, when you're hunting turkeys, you can't shoot hens. Some states that have a fall season, you can shoot a hen, but in the spring, you can't. I hunted more days than not during the turkey season, and like I say, just never saw the males out and about. Now, I would see them when I wasn't hunting, and that makes it kind of frustrating. I had a couple situations where I was on the property I hunt, but not hunting at that time, and big toms just walking right out in the open. But when I was hunting weapon in hand, I didn't see any, which was a pretty big disappointment. I really anticipated having success, but I always have this occurring thing that if I think a hunt is going to be easy, it just never is. And I let myself, based on my preseason scouting, think that this was going to be an easy hunt this season, and it just wasn't. So then pretty much after turkey season's over, I'm in getting ready for deer season mode. So all summer long, I'm just preparing for deer season. Scouting out locations, shooting my bow, making sure that once deer season opened, I'm ready to go. So my plan for the season was that I am shooting only mature bucks, which means that if little bucks come around, I don't shoot them. Now, I don't say that to imply that this is a better way of hunting or anything. I've just gotten to the point that I want to aim for those top echelon older deer. It's a lot more difficult and comes with a whole bunch of different challenges. So early in the season, I had a chance to shoot a buck that was injured. He was a little buck. He actually had a broken rear leg, back leg, and I really had a debate on my hands. You know, this buck is injured. It's not necessarily a fatal injury, but it's going to be a struggle for him. So I made the decision that if this buck gets into range, I'm going to shoot him. I mean, in that situation, there's really no wrong answer, but the right answer for me was to shoot him if I got the chance. I never got that chance. He didn't quite come within range. Later on in the season, I did have a chance to shoot a doe, and I was fully intending on taking a doe before the rut kicked in, and had a nice big doe come into range. She stopped in a shooting lane. I had my video camera mounted to a arm that attached to the tree. I had the video on her. I was all ready to go. A fairly easy shot. I pulled my bow back, put the pin on her, and fired, and heard a very unusual noise. It sounded like something exploded. And the deer just stood there. And there was two other deer behind her, and they all just stood there, looking around. And I had no idea what happened, because I could see the arrow behind the doe. So it looked like I had gotten a clean pass-through, and the arrows I used, the nocks are lighted, so you can see them a little easier. So I can see the arrow behind the deer, but she's just standing there. And what was that noise? Well, come to find out, that camera arm I mentioned, well, I didn't quite clear that with my arrow, so I actually shot the camera arm. The arrow broke into pieces, and just the end of it ended up downrange. I don't know where the broadhead and the rest of the shaft ended up. Put a nice big gouge in my camera arm. It actually shut the camera arm off. It didn't record any of the video it was taking. And of course, at this point, the does are on high alert trying to figure out what happened. So in my attempt to get another arrow knocked, they saw me and took off. So my chance at a early season doe didn't materialize. So then we were pretty much up to the rut. Now during the rut, as a general rule, I don't shoot does. For no other reason than there might be a buck right behind her. So I had lots of chances to does then, but not knowing whether a buck was a couple minutes behind her, I wound up not shooting a doe and waiting for that mature buck to come by. Lots of little bucks, but that mature one never showed up. And even into late season, never got on a mature buck. So in total for deer season, I did 20 hunts. 20 times I went out deer hunting. Now that is a very low number for me. That's actually the lowest I've had since I started keeping track of all my hunts back in 2006. So normally I'm somewhere around 50 hunts. This year I only got 20 in. Now there's a couple different reasons for that. I actually had a workplace injury that kept me out of the woods a little bit. I had vehicle problems that made it difficult to get to the hunting areas. Now those are just excuses. That's not the reason. The reason is I didn't make the commitment hard enough this year. So on those 20 hunts, I did see 80 deer. Now where I hunt in Ohio, 80 deer in 20 hunts, that's pretty good. 4 deer hunt is a pretty good number. And of those 80 deer, 16 of them were bucks. But they were all 1-year-old, 2-year-old, or 3-year-old bucks. Nothing mature. This is the first year for a long time that I didn't at least see a mature buck. But that's just how it goes sometimes. A lot of my friends got bucks. The guys I hunt with got bucks. This year just wasn't my year. And that's okay. I mean, if success was a guarantee, it wouldn't be as special when it happens. And the way I've always kind of looked at it is that I know I'm going to have good years and bad years. Like if I think about the next 20 hunting seasons, I know some are going to be good, some are going to be bad. Well, this year, I got one of the bad ones out of the way. So for me, trying to rationalize that, that means next year is a better chance of having a good season. Now that's not really how it works, but that's the way I'm going to think of it to stay positive that next year is going to be a good one. And I do think it is going to be.